All right. Hi, everyone. It's an honor and privilege to see everyone sitting here today. And if we have to be suddenly interrupted because people show up a little late, please forgive us. And we have an amazing satsang in line for you today where we're going to talk about all the chakras, briefly talk about what each chakra means, and then give out practical exercises that should help each of you with the opening of the chakra process, or any chakras you may be experiencing some difficulty with. I feel that, when we talk to students, the main complaint is usually the root chakra and the third chakra, the yellow chakra, the self-empowerment. So we'll focus a little more on those, right?
Well, and the fourth chakra.
Yeah, the fourth. So yeah, the fourth chakra is the most important, I would say, chakra for our time right now, the heart chakra. So the purpose of dealing with any of the chakras is to open the fourth chakra. In other words, in order to open the love chakra, we have to open the other chakras. It's just the way this works.
Especially, we were talking about it this morning, especially the lower three. The lower three, the 1, 2, and 3 chakras have to really be in good shape and be aligned.
In alignment.
Integrated. Then that foundation is what enables the stable, open heart chakra, the unconditional love. If you haven't stabilized the lower 3 chakras, actually your ability to function openly with the heart chakra won't be possible. You'll be unstable. So that's why that's so important. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people who teach chakras or know something about them don't actually realize how important that is.
Mm-hmm. The point of the chakras and healing the chakras and working with the chakras is always for the heart, and also for our own sense of empowerment, feeling energized, feeling that we can cope, generally in life. Self-love comes first, of course, and love of other. But I want to say that there's never been a time in human history where love is difficult as much as I would say now. We're dealing in that, we're dealing in the most we be living in dualistic, in the realm we live in. It's very dual right now. It's hard to feel unconditional love for the kind of evil we're seeing in this world. Having said all that, we have to remember that we are not on everyone's in their own process. In other words, we can't be responsible for another person's low level of consciousness. And so the point is to try not to judge, even though that itself is incredibly difficult, not to stay quiet and feel, oh, well, there's nothing I can do. Everyone's just doing whatever they do. No, that's not the point at all. The more love we experience and the more we learn to accept, to self-realize, the more then we're actually able to help other people, come to a place where they're able to be more significant, make a difference, and help out in the world, or so we hope. But I will say this much: it's not easy to do this work, especially when we are viewing what goes on in this world right now. And I can say, if ever there was a time where anger is okay, there's a beautiful quote by what's his name again? I think it is the Saint Francis, some saint. And he always talks about anger, and he speaks a lot about anger. And he says, when we're living in unjust times, to not feel angry is amoral and wrong. So in other words, it's okay to feel anger when we see injustices occurring all over the world. And I'll leave it at that. And we can further talk about anger and its place, because it's coming from that root chakra. Just like there's a volcanic eruption in the world or a tsunami in the world, which just happens, we don't judge it. Anger arises too when there are injustices in the world. So don't judge yourself for feeling that way right now.
I want to make just a quick comment on that, because Ananda and I talk about this a lot. I mean, we're enraged by many things going on because we know what's going on, and some of what's going on is just incredibly dark. So we're enraged by that. But please understand that rage or that anger doesn't mean you're not loving. We're living from open hearts, And the thing is, if something is that kind of darkness or cruelty, whatever you want to call it, yes, that is something that's very offensive, and you may be angry, and then you may want to take action about it or not. But just understand, it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. To have a negative emotion or anger, especially in response to something that's very negative, is normal. That's human. It's really, what do we do with it? So it's much better to have an abundance of energy, an abundance of emotional sensitivity and response
than none.
And which could go into anger, say, rather than be numbed out and be tuned out and not know what's going on.
Which is a lot of people.
They're in cognitive dissonance because it's just too much for them. There's stuff coming out. We're not going to go on about this, but there's stuff coming out about the vaccine now, even in the public media, which is validating what Ananda and I and others have been saying for 2 years. So there's going to be a lot of denial and cognitive dissonance around that. But you see, in terms of anything that's really dark or anything that's really negative that's happening, the average person is going to have trouble embracing that. But that's where the power of love comes in. If you really have that power of love and you built that foundation with the lower 3 chakras, then that power from the heart chakra enables you to have the courage and enables you to have the staying power to deal with darkness and negativity and cruelty. So that's why, love is the answer. It always was, but it especially is now. But we're all love warriors now, each and every one of us, meaning we're going to have to deal with something. And that's, part of the context of today, but we're really going to focus on heal thyself today. Okay. So this is really about how to make sure your chakras are operating at as close to 100% as possible. Okay.
Is anybody in?
Everybody's in, I think.
Okay, good. All right. So let's start with looking at, I'm going to call it today, looking after our pipelines. Think of the chakras as a pipeline. And we want to think of it as the mind of the heart, a form of cosmic awareness. Hold on a second. Yes. So hold on. Let's look at how to keep our pipelines open, getting to understand how this machine works and how to take care of our machine. We all have a machine. We all have a pipeline. We need to clear our pipeline when we are relaxed, not worried. Worry doesn't help clear the pipelines at all, by the way. Staying fearless even when there are catalysts. In other words, and I would say again, we're living in times now where the spiritual awareness can be magnified to enormous degrees, because what we are getting are tons of catalysts. And we get this opportunity to remain fearless in response to these catalysts. Certainty in the best that is to come. Very difficult now as well. It's hard to remain certain when we see the world practically falling apart before our eyes. Choose the above attitude, the faith, the certainty. I prefer certainty to faith, and the attitude of being fearless. We need determination, humility, courage, and brutal honesty. Unless you can be honest with yourself, what's going on in the world and in your life, I'm afraid to say there's just not going to be, there can't be a flow, because you are being deceitful, self-deceit. All right? So let's look at the red ray or the red chakra. Let's look at the root chakra first. I'm going to just go over a little what the chakra means, what it is, and then Ramaji is going to give the practical tools, because there is so much information for each chakra, so it's hard to kind of pick. I've got so many notes over the years that I've collected. I'm going to try go over the main points, and Ramaji is going to talk about some practical exercises each person can do. I would assume that you should have maybe a pen and paper, especially if you're a coach, if you're helping people. These are exercises all of you can also use to help your friends.
Yeah, and these practical exercises are original. I've worked with Ananda on them, but basically they're the culmination of about 50 years, 50 years working with people and my own problems that I had, because most of my chakras when I was young were screwed up. So I had to figure out how to fix them. So what I'm going to share today is it'll be new to some of you, maybe not all of you, but pretty new and pretty original. And so at least one of the chakra techniques is probably going to be something you're not familiar with and maybe could make a real difference for you. That's the idea, to make a real difference. And we had requests for, okay, how to be grounded, how to handle the stress, how to boost my system so that I'm basically stronger and can handle all of this. And that's the focus of today.
Remember that your inner chakras, the first 3 chakras, can and are supposed to be developed. The red ray, or the red chakra, is about sexuality and survival. Those 2 things. Okay, they are primal instincts. They reside in the root chakra. Where is the root chakra? The root chakra is where the legs join at the base of the spine. That's where your root chakra is. It is the starting outward flow for our vital and physical energy bodies. That's where it starts from. It's the foundation, which is why it's such an important chakra. When you've got a weak root chakra or a weak red chakra, it usually means your energy is a little bit off. So the point is to develop these chakras, and then you feel the changes in your energy flow. It becomes more clear. You know, a lot of people call that the kundalini. When the kundalini starts to really move quickly, you know, it starts from that lower chakra. Remember that your thoughts can change the flow of your energy. Negative thoughts, especially when I say negative thoughts, it's not like we should never think negatively and we should be in complete denial. It's just about most people are being negative about their own self. In other words, when they feel an emotion that they don't like, or they feel they shouldn't be feeling, they then over and above that start to self-judge themselves, self-judgment. That's what we mean by negative. You can't love yourself as you are and allow yourself to just feel whatever it is that you're feeling. So you're always trying to kind of stop yourself. You're not actually expressing yourself. You may think you are, but no, you're being too spiritual or too loving, or you're trying to be everything that you're not. Correct? You're not being honest. You're not being authentic. The minute that happens, there's going to be something off there, okay? So the catalysts are always going to deliver reactions to the outcome and the outcome, to the stimuli. So the catalysts are the stimuli that develop a kind of reaction in our energy bodies. You want to always be in a place where you are receiving and you are accepting the red energy. Now, this is a strange thing as well. A lot of people don't know what to do with the full capacity of energy that they get every day. They don't know how to accept the energy. So they don't want to actually feel it. They try not to feel it, even though this is unconscious a lot of the time. So a lot of what we're going to be doing here is helping you accept the energy, feel the energy, and learn to express that energy. You want to develop and create energetic roots to learn how to care. You need to learn how to care about yourself and care about others. Feel the love that's linked with this energy. That energy, another word for that energy you're getting for free every day, it's your life force. It's love. It's sustaining you every minute of every day. Awareness of this connection opens it up. So the more you are aware of this energetic connection that you have, the more it opens it up. But remember, awareness is always first. Awareness is key. Our feelings about our own sexuality and our earth can block this vitality. If you have feelings about your own sexuality that are disturbing to you, you shouldn't be this, you should be that, you're not doing, all that blocks the energy, and as well as the earth. How do you feel about Mother Earth? How do you sustain her? How do you feel? What's your relationship to her? And then your primal instincts reside in the red chakra. All your primal instincts, your survival instinct. So we need to tackle our basic attitudes first. That's what the chakra is about, and what our minds are telling us, what are our basic beliefs. Remember, I always do the work with all my students about your basic beliefs. All our basic beliefs have to be looked at in order to open this first chakra. If your foundational beliefs are off, forget about it. Okay? You have to get to a place of peace with your sexuality and that natural flow. Let me just see what I wrote here. It is very powerful to feel sexual contact. You never want to deny that. Enormously powerful forces when we work with this energy. So when you work with your root chakra energy, you're going to feel enormous force. And it's very basic to our human nature. Our sex drive, our body, and our sexuality is sacred. So is the earth. Anything you want to add here, Ramaji?
No, I'll
okay.
Talk about some of those.
We want to invoke faith and a larger point of view, clearing our emotions that are repressed. Now, it's difficult to do that when we're doing groups like this, but the work that Ramaji and I do with all of you, really, we do get to talk about and clear a lot of our emotional stuff. A lot of that is part and parcel of awakening. You want to ask the mind for release. Always ask your mind for that release. It takes time and it takes courage. Remember, all the dogged energy will keep us feeling very stuck. Balance keeps us feel very strong, a sense of steady progression. It takes time. The reason we exercise the chakra is to clear this dogged, blocked chakra. It's a stubborn chakra. Why is it stubborn? Because our conditioned beliefs keep it stubborn. For example, a great example would be we all want to believe that the world's a beautiful place. There's no evil and nothing wrong going on. It takes a lot to deal with the fact that all this crap's going on in the world. So, and we have to look at our beliefs about the world. Why do we believe it?
What's an example?
Why are we in denial? Why can't we be honest about our sexuality? Why can't we express ourselves correctly? Why? And it's always conditioning. So that's another point. Remember that when we enjoy ourselves, fun, laughter, good times, always help those chakras flow well. Enjoyment, fun, laughter, good times, connection, that is helping your chakras probably more than anything else. And I don't really understand why people don't have more fun, but so the good questions to ask yourself when you're moving around and dealing with a chakra are, what are your basic attitudes? And what is your mind telling you? For example, your basic beliefs regarding your instinct, survival, and sexuality. What does your mind tell you? If you don't know that, you should start to really look at that. And your basic attitudes, your judgments, your thoughts, your self-doubt, all that stuff. If you post 1,000, you've done this work. So, okay, so now I have to move into I've got too many chakra things to talk about the red one now, from your point of view.
You want me to give the instructions now?
Definitely. There's so much for each chakra.
Okay, fine.
Let's do the exercises now. Do you get the basic idea? Any questions about the red chakra? Anything you want to add? Anything you don't know or you feel that you want to ask? No? Do you understand what I mean?
Well, let's wait until, let me do my practical thing.
Yeah.
And then we'll see if
But they've got to understand that chakra, like the basic foundation, the root.
Well, I think
did that explain it well enough?
I think you hit some real important points. What I'm going to do is now show how it functions in everyday life, in your actual
world
experience with your body. Okay. So the context for the information I'm going to provide is that I've been clairvoyant since I was 16 years old. And Petra says, and Eckhart say, great explanation.
Thanks, guys.
Well, I don't think we can do any wrong in their eyes. So thank you guys. Okay, so I've been clairvoyant for 50 years or something like that since I was 16, actually more now, I guess 55 years. And a lot of that time I've been what some people would call a health intuitive. So this information I'm going to give today, some of it I did receive from other sources, but then I tested and verified it myself, both through my clairvoyance and testing it on myself. It's also information I've used with people who would come to me who were quite sick, who had chronic health issues or other chronic problems, all of which, as Ananda was pointing out, can be traced to the chakras. If you have any kind of serious issue in your life, you can be quite sure that one or more of the chakras are involved in that. So that's the magic of working with chakras, is when you open and empower, basically turn up the power or efficiency level of a chakra, it will automatically have positive impact in your life. Even if you don't go out and do anything externally, just having turned up the power in that chakra will automatically result in positive changes. Okay, so the most important chakra in terms of grounding, in terms of support, in terms of stability, in terms of health, meaning your body, in terms of energy, all of this, the most important chakra as far as the body is concerned and everyday life is concerned is the root chakra. So in my experience, the second chakra is more about intimacy. It is related to sexuality, but more in the intimacy and pleasure aspect. The third chakra has to do with asserting personal power and the dynamics between us and others. Okay, so right now I'm going to focus on the root chakra because it's called the foundation chakra, and it should be called that. Now, the energy that we do get energy from in other ways to the body, but the main source of energy for the human body is the earth. And what happens when people are on a spiritual path, or perhaps they take psychedelics, or there's dozens of ways a person can essentially start to lose touch with the earth. Even living in a high-rise building can encourage you to disconnect from the earth. So especially spiritual people, not realizing, they're told, oh, you're not your body, this, that, so they start disconnecting. Well, that's not a good thing. That's going to be run very counter to being grounded, to having stability, feeling safe, and making money, and just having overall security and stability in your life. So what I'm going to teach you today is just incredibly powerful for this. It is the most powerful way to work with the root chakra that I know of. And, there's all this information on mantras and colors and mudras and yoga postures, and that's all good stuff. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm familiar with all of that, and I've tried all of it, done all of it. This is the single most powerful thing you can do to heal and boost, empower your root chakra so that you reach maximum efficiency with your root chakra, which means maximum personal health and maximum energy level. Okay, so here we go. So the source of the energy for human beings, for their body, for their health is the earth. Now, what is going on is that we are receiving energy through our feet. We're also receiving energy through the tailbone, or through that area. Now, what very few people understand, and this is being recorded, so it'll be here for you to review or share with someone else if you want, because this is extremely important information and we want to start sharing it. What most people don't know, and it's very misleading in the chakra books, but almost nobody knows this, is that the root chakra has two parts. It has two parts. So there is a part of the root chakra, and it's shown in some of the books. In Barbara Brennan's Hands of Light, it's a downward pointing chakra that's between the legs in what is called the perineum. Okay, so although there are chakras in the feet, in the soles of the feet, and we will talk about that in a minute, the chakra that actually is receiving that energy that is flooding up into our body from the earth is a chakra that is downward pointing, and it's between the legs in the perineum. There is also a chakra in the tailbone, which is where most people think the root chakra is. Well, that's where half of the root chakra is, okay? And I'm going to explain all this because this is, like I say, I've observed this for a very long time, and this is what I've come up with. This is the quintessence of it after decades of study of this. So basically, so what I'm going to teach is going to encourage that specific access through that perineum chakra. So yes, we have a chakra at the top of the head that's pointing up, and we have one that's pointing down between the legs. If you look at a cat or a dog, and you'll see, obviously they're on four legs, but they like to spend a lot of time on the ground with their belly on the ground. And you wonder, why are they doing that? Well, the reason is they have four chakras, I think it would be four, pointing downwards. So if you had four chakras pointing down into the earth, you'd probably lay around on your belly a lot too. Okay, so we only have one that's pointing down. So it becomes very, very important for us to consciously use that. So here's the exercise. Oh, well, one other thing about this is the way the two parts of the root chakra work is the chakra between the legs absorbs the energy coming up. And that is sort of like crude oil. Now that crude oil or crude energy from the earth, which I think of as red energy, then gets transformed. It gets, what's the word? Refined, transmuted, refined, and then shunted over to the tailbone chakra, which then does distribution up to the higher chakras because they require the more refined version of the earth energy for them to be nourished by it. So the refined energy goes over to the tailbone distributes it to the higher chakras. Okay, so that's the background. So here's the technique. The whole technique takes 5 minutes. I recommend doing it 3 times a week. And even people I have taught this to, most of us are guilty of not doing it often enough. So when I work one-on-one with people, I can evaluate their root chakra percentage of efficiency, and I do that, but I can't do it for the group. But you don't need to do that because you can tell how you feel. Okay, so here's the exercise. So first you think in terms of opening your the chakras in your feet. So you can rub your hands here and open them up if you want. You can, if you feel they might be closed, and you can put them in like a saltwater bath, something like that for a little bit. Okay, so here's the exercise. So you stand with your feet slightly apart, and you feel that you are standing in thick, warm mud, but it's thick enough that it supports you. You now extend a root from one of the feet down into the earth, just like a tree. And you send that down 100 feet or 100 meters, something like that for both of the feet. So now you've got 2 roots going down. Then you extend these roots sideways. So you're standing in the thick, warm mud. You put the roots down deep into the ground, 100 feet or 100 meters. And then you extend sideways 200 feet or 200 meters. So if you look at the root system of a tree, it's not just a vertical root, it has these horizontal roots, and that acts as an anchor. Okay, so you stand like that for about 2 minutes. So it feels very good. So now if you want, you can extend your root from the tailbone if you want. But I haven't found that you really have to, but some people like that. They like kind of a tripod type of experience with the roots from the feet and then one from the tailbone. But the ones coming up through the feet, that's the natural process. So this is going to be part 1, and then there's going to be a second part. So you stand about 2 minutes that way, basically being a tree. Okay, so after you've done that, then the second part of, okay, let me let somebody in here. The second part of the root chakra exercise is that now with your feet slightly apart, now we're going to directly feed the root chakra between the legs in the perineum. So what I find works best is that you imagine and feel that there's a little volcano that rises up out of the ground. You can do it outside, but you can do it in your bedroom. It's good to do with bare feet. And this little volcano rises up close to, but not right at, but close to the perineum, and it shoots hot red lava straight into that downward pointing chakra between the legs. So you do this for about 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. Now, this should feel very good. If you feel sensations of pleasure, they would be on the inner thighs. If you feel it on the outer thighs, then you haven't directed the energy correctly. Now, you don't have to do anything else. You do this, you just enjoy that flood of energy shooting up from this little volcano, shooting hot red lava up into the perineum, into that chakra. And after doing that, you're done. You can play root chakra music if you want, which would be like drums or hard rock or something like that, but you don't have to. You don't have to do anything else. You just do this for 5 minutes with the feet and the roots, and then the hot red lava from the little volcano to the perineum chakra. And that takes about 5 minutes, and then you're done. You don't have to mentally distribute, shunt the energy over to the tailbone, or distribute from the tailbone up, or integrate anything. Once you've done this, the system will take care of itself. The body will take care of itself. Now, the thing to understand is, and this is where many people are confused, and it's not in any books or anything that I've ever seen put this way, the way I'm going to put it right now. You could have a perfectly fine vehicle. In other words, you could have an automobile that's in great shape. But if that gas tank does not have enough gas in it, you're not going very far, and you're not going very fast. What this does, which is absolutely essential for health and energy and stability, what this does is fill up your gas tank to full. And then that automatically gets distributed wherever it needs to go in your system. So you see, I think if you do an inventory right now and you think, okay, what teachings have I received about the root chakra and how to energize it or empower it? I think you're going to come up with a blank. You will know a few things, but is there anything that absolutely, hits the spot? No, because they're not teaching about the downward pointing chakra between the legs. And I wonder why. Well, maybe because Charles Leadbeater, when he came out with his book on the chakras back in the turn of the century, late 1800s, early 1900s, it was Victorian times. You don't talk about sex, and you're certainly not going to talk about what's between the legs, okay? So everybody was taught from that point forward, only the root chakra is root chakra is only at the tailbone. Okay, so... Oh, somebody is saying imagining red hot lava shooting up between one's legs sounds horrendous. Well, that's interesting. That is the first person who has ever said that.
Well, think about it then, not as lava. Well, it can feel hot. Think about it. It's like hot lava. It could be awful. Think about it as some kind of warm custard.
No, here's the thing.
He's got a sense of humor. He's English.
Well, maybe that was meant to be funny, but quite honestly, and I'm leaving out something, I suppose. So it's a good point that Alan has brought up. There is a
vanilla pudding. There you go.
Yeah, right. There is a sensual feeling to this. Okay, we're not talking about a sexual stimulation per se, although that could be experienced. We're talking about a hot warmth. It's hot, warm,
maybe
liquid.
Don't say hot. Hot may be disturbing.
Okay, warm.
Warm and lush.
I'm sorry. If you find this disturbing, I can't help you.
Okay, he's just kidding.
No, I really can't. Yeah, it's 5 minutes for both parts. I personally find it exciting, erotic, stimulating, delightful, this whole idea of hot red lava. It's obviously not literally hot red lava. It's love from the earth. I mean, why? It's not aggressive. It's not nasty. It's not mean. It's not there to hurt you. It is what is giving you life right this second, giving you life every single day.
But
we're talking about turning that up.
Whatever metaphor one chooses to use to make them feel more comfort, whether it be hot velvet cake or custard, luscious custard.
No, I'm not going to say that. No, I'm not going to.
It's fine. It doesn't have to be hot lava.
No, I don't agree. I don't agree. What is coming out of the earth is essentially hot red energy, whether you like it or not.
Well, warm red lava.
If you like warm red, fine. I don't care. Some like it hot, some like it warm. All right. But this is how the love from the earth comes up. It's a physical and subtle physical energy, right? So I just feel that support from earth, feel that love from the earth coming up to feed your body. It's as if you have a mouth, like you would put food into it, but that mouth is between your legs and putting down and pointing down, and the earth is feeding it. So you want to use another color or another, don't like a volcano or lava, fine, but understand what this is and understand that's how our body is kept alive.
Okay, let's move on now, because there are other chakras to do. What's next?
Well, I got to check the chat, because we got to see if we have questions here. Okay. Yeah, lava. Very good.
Lava. That's good.
Lava. I love the lava. All right, very good. Thank you.
All right. Are we ready for the next chakra?
Well, yeah. Now the second chakra.
Okay, I'm going to do that.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
I want to discuss the second chakra, an important chakra. Orange, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, right? So orange, the pattern, the orange chakra. So this is how one expresses their power on an individual basis. Okay, it's located along the spine at the belly, kind of lower belly. This is where it gets more interesting, because before we become seekers or spiritually inclined human beings, we often analyze our next move, right? Our next move. What are the advantages or disadvantages of our next move? We weigh up our options. We often use logic to find out what would be the best solution. We use the mind, the head. By thinking, planning, scheming, we want to grab that opportunity in order to win. That's the usual way most people operate. Then we kind of become seekers. We want to evolve quickly or graduate. The point of working on the second chakra, as well as the first, is to graduate from this environment, becoming people and human beings that have got a love and are filled with love and light. We need the light energy to help us. So one of the ways to keep the chakra, or this pipeline, open, and we want to start to activate our heart chakra. So we've cleared the route. We've done the exercises, we've cleared the route. We're okay with our life force and our sexuality. Okay, we check our red daily. Always check your red chakra. How do I feel? Am I feeling energized? Do I feel all right? Is the energy moving? Am I all right with my sexuality? A couple of questions. Okay. And then the energy should move up the belly. We move on, in other words, next chakra. Unlike the red, because the red chakra can be worked on and get very healthy. The orange chakra needs to continuously bloom. So we're actually always working on it through our lifetime. It's located. Hold on, sorry, I need to turn this over. Within each person, I'm just looking here what the best way to describe this. We need to use this chakra, this energy on ourselves. And how we do so is by accepting and treating ourselves with respect. Remember, this is an individual chakra. So good questions to ask. What are our feelings about ourselves? These are incredible feelings because they run incredibly deep. Their power is often very unconscious because most of us are not even conscious of the beliefs that we truly hold about ourselves. We haven't really gone there. Sometimes it's too painful. Other times we're just too busy. And other times most people are too busy projecting their stuff on the rest of the world and judging others. And it drags us down. So unless we really look at these beliefs about ourselves, that chakra will not open, and it drags us down depending on, it can either drag us down or lift us up. Accepting ourselves is so much harder often than accepting other people. More often than not, we are the sternest judges of ourselves, especially when it comes to forgiving ourselves. The second chakra is all about self-forgiveness. Can I forgive myself? So a good question here is, how do I judge myself? Internalizing these voices from our childhood. Often we internalize them. Toxic past voices become very audible if we're listening to them, from our parents or whoever. What words do we use when we're scolding ourselves? Think about the language you're using. What are you using? Often mine have been in the past, because I had narcissistic parents, I'm not good enough. Always feeling I wasn't good enough. I had to be more better to please them. We can be moved to feel compassion for our inner child, so you can feel compassion for yourself. But until we find the mercy for ourselves, we remain prisoners of those memories. So we have to have mercy on ourselves. Whatever the voices were, whether they were good voices, whether they were bad voices, whether they were ugly voices, find the mercy, inner mercy. To be in the present moment, we have to let that shit go. So that's what the second chakra is all about. That's like really, and you know, the reason it's constant, and I say that it's not something that we ever just become delivered from, is because we're always getting catalysts out there in the world that tend to turn us on ourselves. Oh, why am I feeling angry? Angry is not good. Or why am I feeling this or that? Or why am I responding this way? And then we judge ourselves instead of having mercy on ourselves. We need to be balanced, and in a balanced state, we have to see our goodness and our worth as a soul. We all are souls. We all have goodness and we all have worth. We have to see that. We are also aware of our perceived faults. So knowing that you're a good soul does not mean that you have no faults. In fact, the more you're able to, understand that you do have faults, a history, you've made mistakes, and you can have that mercy, the more humbling it is, the better it becomes. Of course, we will make mistakes, plus we do not ignore any of our mistakes. We learn from our mistakes. So we all mess up. We can all be the biggest assholes at times, plus no one is lovable all the time. Okay, the trick is to love yourself, knowing your own faults. And that is the most important part of the second chakra. This is how we open that orange chakra. Okay? It's not about being in denial. It's about knowing our faults, being able to express them openly, our feelings, our resentments, our stuff, seeing it clearly, and being able to find the mercy. And yes, I'm an imperfect being, but I love myself anyway. We keep the orange ray open. When we clear this ray, we develop the attitude of liking ourselves. And it's so funny because we all say that, especially when students start off. I find they all talk about, the various stuff in their life and all the rest, but it all usually boils down to not really liking themselves. And a self-realization cannot really integrate without self-love. So everyone spends a ton of time with themselves. Who do we spend the most time with? Yourself. You're spending the time with yourself. So we know our biases, we have to know our thoughts, and we have to understand how we create our inner world. This is what the orange chakra is all about. It's more complicated. Where the stream of consciousness flows, how it flows. It's important to develop a friendship with ourselves. So how can we open the chakra? Do you have exercises for it? The second one?
I do.
I have a few questions that I'd like to say, and then you can, and exercises too. So do you want to talk about yours first and then I talk about mine, or should I talk about mine and then you talk about yours?
Go ahead and talk about yours.
Are you sure?
Why?
Okay.
Why would that be a question?
Just checking. I'm trying to be polite.
Oh.
Okay. All right. Let's think. The first thing I say, how can we enjoy anyone's company? Just questions to ask yourself. If you don't enjoy your own company, how can we have compassion without having self-compassion? Everyone pretends to be so compassionate. We must and need to enjoy being who we are. It's essential in order to keep this orange energy flowing. So we need a positive attitude. A positive attitude is a good attitude. Cultivate this attitude and this habit. It's an exercise. And I would say that today it's hard to be positive, but we have to try and cultivate a positive attitude. Anything we pay attention to grows. So whatever we're paying attention to will tend to grow. If you're having negative self-talk all the time and you're thinking negative about yourself, get ready. It's just going to grow. So we have to be aware of where we're focusing our attention. If we pay attention to our blessings, those blessings will grow. It's like watering plants, giving them sunlight. So you want to always, when it comes to this ray, pay attention to all the good stuff. By doing this, these blessings grow and multiply until our inner reality is totally changed. The internal starts to shift. It feels good when you're thinking about good things, when you're noticing good things about yourself, have you ever been like complimented by someone and someone gives you a wonderful compliment and it feels so good? Why? Because it really resonates. I think as souls, we all know we're intrinsically good, especially in this spiritual communities. Remember, feeling good always allows love and light energy to sail through merrily. People think the chakras are so complicated. By feeling good, you're allowing this flow about yourself. That's what the second chakra is about. So you want this energy to soar upward towards all this is about the heart, guys. It has to get to there. All right. Remember, another orange ray major issue is the feeling and relationship we have about our own bodies. We are seldom happy about our own appearance. We feel self-conscious, inadequate physically. We may not feel we have the ideal body. This happens to a lot, especially younger people. Seldom are we measuring up to these images, the ideal of how we should look. This is very much an orange problem. It constricts the orange ray. The more we have these body issues, the more constricting that is. In the society, we have a certain pressure that is developed. This pressure has its own problems. People are very hard on their bodies. We see it with this issue around anorexia, bulimia, often denying the body that its nutrients, what it needs, and everybody's different. Dieting has become so widespread among image-conscious people. It's become an obsession. Especially, I would say, in the West, how we look. And again, if you don't feel that you are good, that you're taking care of yourself, that you're well nourished, that chakra is going to suffer. Men also obsess about the way they look. So this is not only women, and I can tell you from working with people I know, it extends to males as well. We see it as well with plastic surgery. Everybody's having something new done. We see it. I mean, it's unbelievable. And in many ways, it's created a very brutal environment for those wanting to make a realistic peace with how they look. You want it to have a realistic peace with how you look, accept how you look. And we become very concerned about our appearance to the point that we're so worried about how other people see us. It's hard to admit that, but a lot of people feel so self-conscious. They're so concerned with how other people see them. And that really constricts the orange chakra. Just know that. Remember that if we do not, we can be less, let me see. Yeah, I would say one of the things to do is start being less concerned about how other people see you. Other people will always have their opinions and their judgments. Good for them. It's actually none of your business. How other people see you is none of your business. That's their stuff. And it's amazing the freedom that comes into that orange chakra, where you're no longer concerning yourself with the impression that you're making on other people. They're going to judge you anyway. So who cares? I know it's easy for me to say who cares after working on this for most of my life. It's not that easy to actually do the work, but when you do the work, it's very uplifting and very freeing, because you just no longer, it doesn't bother you as much. It's doable. Remember, you want to relish living life. Remember, we need to enjoy ourselves to balance the orange chakra. So enjoyment, fun, laughter, good times is also very balancing for the orange chakra. I'm trying to think if there's look, I've got like millions of pages on it, so I'm not going to go there. But you think I've kind of said the most important things about it?
Brilliant. I think brilliant. Yeah. I mean, yes.
You know, I try to touch on things that, like, you know, it's almost like we don't want to admit to ourselves that we have these issues, that we do concern ourselves with this stuff sometimes. And I say to you that everybody does at some stage of their life or another. And it's very important not to be in denial of that stuff. So, and then to learn to accept and love yourself the way you are. And that really helps the orange chakra.
Yeah, I mean, I think you really talked about why the orange chakra is important, because it actually gets neglected a lot.
It really does.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you can, and there's million. I mean, I could talk about it for a year.
No, I see you really. Yeah, you can go deep. Do a satsang on the orange chakra. Yeah, somebody's got in the chat. Can we do any of these sitting, or do they have to be done standing? You can do them sitting. So the thing with the root chakra is sit in such a way that you can feel the soles of your feet on the ground. Okay. Otherwise, you can do it sitting.
I like to do it outside on the grass, or on the actual ground, than inside on carpet. I would say that's barefoot on the ground, if you can, and it's not too cold, is ideal.
That's ideal. I agree. Okay, so let's talk about practical ways to work with the second or orange ray chakra. So Ananda did a great job of talking about the essence of the second chakra. So one way to think about it is that the orange ray is about joy. So it's enjoyment. And it's interesting, from all kinds of directions, including in spiritual traditions, we are told pleasure is bad. You know, pleasure is a problem. So really, what does that say? Feeling good's a problem. Well, that's crazy, because if we're going to do stuff and it's not going to make us feel good, what the hell are we doing? So the second chakra is the seeker chakra when it comes to feeling good, having joy or pleasure. So the word enjoyment, right? So having joy in your body, internally, in your energy field, that's the function of the second chakra. So the root chakra, red chakra, is about, you could think of that as reproductive sex, or the physical performance part of sex. But the depth of pleasure and the depth of merging and union and joyful coming together in sexual union or some form of sexual pleasure between each other is the department of the second chakra. Okay, so there's lots of people who can perform sexually that are not actually enjoying sex that much, or enjoying their lovemaking that much. And then this is also the domain of what could be called the total orgasm, or the total whole body orgasm. So if somebody is interested in that study, obviously we can't go into great depth here, but there is a book which is out of print, which is very expensive, I think, at this point, but I highly recommend it. It's called Total Orgasm by Jack Lee Rosenberg. So that book, if you want to really get into it for opening the body for total orgasm, it's as the title says. And these bioenergetic exercises are very good. They're just really good. They're simple, effective. Anybody can do them, and they really unlock and open up the body. In a certain sense, it's a whole chakra opening system. You could, if you were a workshop leader or healer or therapist, you could do an entire workshop just from this one book. So that's the best book that I've seen. He was a student of the bioenergetics, which is related to the Reichian type of work with the body. So the other thing that Ananda touched on, which I find to be very true, is the second chakra is about shame. So the fourth chakra, the heart, and the second chakra are very closely connected. And they're both, so that there's, it's like the shame in the second chakra is like inner child shame. So you can be dealing, you have the self-talk like Ananda was talking about. So that kind of work would be working on the second chakra. So one way to work with the second chakra, I just wrote down all these notes and now I'm having trouble reading my own handwriting. But so as I was saying, the second chakra is about merging, and it's also about sympathy. So the fourth chakra could be empathy, which could be neutral. Sympathy is more of an identification. And so you have the sexual merging, the sexual energy merging through the second chakra. So permission to feel good with the whole body. And I'm going to talk about a technique to do that. So to review, you can expand the orgasm deliberately by choosing to prolong the sexual pleasure, choosing to have a more deep experience with your whole body. You can literally just work with the orgasm that way. And the reason I'm talking about the orgasm is because the second chakra is responsible for the depth and expansion of that pleasure through the whole body. Clairvoyantly, when somebody's been taught to suppress their sexuality and they're not allowed to have a sexual pleasure or an orgasm, then typically when I look at that chakra, I will see like a ring around it, like a hard ring. So you can energetically break down any of those containers or rings by literally breathing more deeply, giving yourself permission to feel more pleasure and, prolong the stimulation, prolong the arousal, and prolong the orgasm and deepen it with your breathing and so on and so forth. And there's books, on Amazon, if that's the direction you want to go, but that is second chakra work, okay?
It doesn't have to be that.
It doesn't have to be sexual. Now I'm going to move on from sexual, and I'm going to talk about 2 techniques for experiencing more pleasure, which means more joy in the body and means opening the second chakra. So one is our brains are oriented towards negative things. That's why towards danger and towards a threat of some kind. That's why the headlines on the news, whether it's a newspaper or online, they tend to be negative. The information in the news tends to be negative. Our brains are biased that way for survival purposes. The way to counter that is when you have a pleasurable moment, like say in the morning when you're drinking your coffee. What you can do is deliberately slow everything down and really focus on the sensations of pleasure and savoring them and deeply enjoying them. Don't just rush through if there's any pleasurable experience, you can choose to expand that, deepen it, prolong it. And that tells your brain this is important. And according to one writer, I think the book is called Buddha Mind, he says 30 seconds is kind of the magic time. So if you spend 30 seconds, oh man, this
drinking your
so
coffee?
Good. Drinking,
30 seconds?
Yeah.
It takes longer than that.
No, it's 30 seconds for one sip. 30 seconds to savor a sip. No, obviously not 30 seconds to drink the whole cup. But anyway, so if you resonate with that, that's how to do that. And then as far as specifically in a yoga type technique, there is a secret, which is taught in Tibetan Buddhism and also taught in some forms of Kundalini yoga, which is using the second chakra to generate bliss in the body. So if you're, without any other stimulus other than the breath, okay, and it can get very elaborate and they can, make it sound very fancy, but I did work on it and it's actually fairly straightforward once you get the feeling. So since we're talking about opening and empowering the second chakra, I need to share this technique. And basically what it boils down to is once you feel that area, okay, which I find to be below the navel, okay, below the navel, but above the sexual organ, okay, so it's about, in that lower soft area below the navel. So you breathe in, deep breath, and then as you breathe out, you can purse your lips, kind of, make it a stream of air. So you breathe in a normal breath, but then as you breathe out, you pull in the lower abdomen so that you're tightening the lower abdomen and encourage a feeling of pleasure. Put a smile on your face. Encourage a feeling of pleasure as you breathe out, and with a little bit of practice, you will start to feel, and you can make a sound like ah, or something like that. Ah, you can make a sound, but the main thing.
I'm glad you haven't
I know.
done that recently around me. We slap you. Okay. Yeah.
I'm sorry. It is what it is. But if it's actually very simple, the main thing is to get that connection so that you feel that area of the body. You will feel that it's connected to pleasure. You take a deep breath, and then as you exhale, you smile and encourage a feeling of pleasure rising up from that area, and you're tightening down there. So that's basically the technique. I have a video I did. I think it's still on YouTube. I did it years ago about, I think it might have called How to Have an Energy Orgasm, or how to create bliss in the body or something. But if anybody's extremely interested in this technique, you can send me an email and maybe I'll send you the link to that video, or we can talk about it. It's not for everybody, but notice that what we're really doing here, what we're really talking about is
joy.
And when you look at how do you generate joy in your body, breathing is important. So, and also, for example, say getting angry. Can I get angry without doing anything with my breath? No, I'm going to get angry because my breath is going to ramp up. Okay, so the breath of pleasure or joy is a different breath than the breath of anger. So what I'm talking about here is how to have a breath of joy. Okay, so let's see. I think that's everything I had to say. I covered a lot of things in a very short time. And if somebody has a question about this, then, but this is permission to feel good.
About yourself. It's usually remember, this is the relationship with yourself.
But also to feel good in the body. Feeling good has gotten a really bad rap. And I had a Buddhist meditation teacher, Shinzen Young, who studied Vipassana and Zen. And I was talking to him about this question of pleasure. And he said, actually, pleasure is a really, really great way to open the system. But people are afraid of pleasure because they're afraid that they're going to lose their, lose their consciousness or fall into temptation or something. But if you do it as a contemplation or as a meditation to increase pleasure, to just find out, do experiments to find out how much pleasure can I handle? How much pleasure can I contain? It's a very, very rewarding exercise. Mm-hmm. And basically what you find is by increasing your capacity to enjoy pleasure and contain pleasure, you're increasing your capacity to love, because love feels really good. Okay, somebody's asking me, good, I got a question on that. That's good. Okay, I am saying tighten. The reason is, the technique, see, you're intensifying the feeling of what happens when you exhale. So for example, basically the sexual release, whether it's male or female, is that a building up or is that a letting go or releasing? It's a releasing. But what preceded the release or the expansion? Contraction. So you have to have the buildup of contraction to lead to expansion. Without the buildup of contraction, you don't have expansion. So without the buildup of a tension, you don't have an orgasm, or you don't have a sexual, erotic, or sensual release. And by the way, the second chakra is about the sensuality. The first chakra is just about raw sexual action. reproduction, the capacity to reproduce or to function sexually. But the second chakra is about the sensual beauty.
And you see, you can't have an open second chakra if you don't have a good relationship with yourself and feel good about your body.
And your body.
You know, it goes hand in hand. It starts from how I feel about me, and then the rest become you. So first you have to feel good about you. And as you move into the third chakra, it's about how do I express that in terms of pleasuring other, you know?
And my connection with others and coming from feeling good about myself.
It has to start with feeling good about yourself.
So just to answer that question a little more clearly, you're breathing in a full relaxed breath. That's the relaxation. Breath of life, fill up, fill up, fill up. Okay, now I want to focus that breath in the second chakra. So when I breathe out, I'm pulling in, maybe tightening's misleading, pulling in down there, pulling in, putting a smile on my face. And then as I breathe out,
feel it like I'm taking and I'm sharing.
Or giving or releasing, or in fact, it's like, in a certain sense, you're even a little bit, just a little bit, the feeling of an orgasm or sexual release with that breath. So you're encouraging that kind of orgasmic feeling, that kind of sexual, erotic, sensual feeling as you breathe out. And as you get the how that works, then the pulling in will make sense. I don't know how else to explain it. You're pulling in, smiling, breathing out, you know, and somehow the pulling in amplifies that and enables you to feel that area more strongly. So if you practice this and have questions, you can shoot me an email.
Ready for the next one?
Yes, go right ahead.
Moving on, my friends. Yellow. The yellow chakra.
You're welcome.
The yellow ray. This is all about progressive seeing. Developing seeing in group relationships. How does one assist the yellow chakra to open? This deals with all our formalized relationships, the relationships that we have with our birth families, with our marriages, and with our jobs. Although there are no ideal family structures, there are ideal family structures, but we may not be among the lucky ones that has the ideal family structure. So ways to help us, working with family is an enormous challenge. Working with our commitments in our birth families is another enormous challenge. Marriages, another enormous challenge. And all those relationships develop and create energy blockages due to the emotional responses that close or narrow our energy bodies. If we are not being open, honest, authentic with in our jobs, with our significant others, family members that we live with, that chakra gets blocked. It's a challenging chakra. This energy chakra remains open when we can acknowledge the challenges that this density offers. It offers challenges. The density of choice in which the everyday reality is the shared experience that we have. This is that chakra where our shared experiences create our realities, because we are not all living on an island alone. So it's important not to paint an idealized, perfect picture of the world, because none of us experience that day to day. Not in any of our relationships. We're not supposed to. We evolve through this. Our challenges always, always, always surround our duties. We all have these duties as far as tending to our families and tending to our social structures. Correct? Remember, all duties are also honors. A lot of us see our duties as being very challenging, and a lot of them are, but it's an honor also to have a duty and to be of service. That's the whole point of the third chakra leading to the heart chakra. Formalized relationships are also an incredible way to set up our spiritual evolution. All our formalized relationships, often after years of being together or working together over a long period of time, this acts as a kind of house of mirrors. When you're with someone for so long, we feel judgmental concerning our family members. And remember, this judgment is always showing us our shadow side when it comes to our one-on-one relationships. We only get annoyed or aggravated by things that we have not yet resolved and developed within ourselves. Family members are the catalysts that allow us to face them just as they are. Just as they are. Loving someone and wanting for them what they want for them, not what you want for them. It's the greatest catalyst of all. Since we are one, these catalysts also ask us to work with our shadow side and our darkness. So third chakra is working with darkness, seeing yourself in terms of your family dynamics, relationship dynamics, and how these relationships affect you and how you can come to know yourself so much better through these catalysts. This happens as soon as the pretense is laid aside and to the extent that we are able to get real with one another. If we are so many people live in these relationships or these friendships, they're pretending that they're fine. They're pretending that they're happy. They're pretending there are no issues and everything's hunky-dory. And yet, as soon as you kind of lift the hood, it's as shit as can be. No one's being honest. Everyone's pretending and nothing is what it seems. That will block that chakra completely. And unfortunately, you're going to have to learn to deal with it. Being open and honest about your relationships to one another, an exchange of what is really going on here. Permanent relationships tangle up our energy centers much more easily because of the familiarity that we establish with people over the years. Sometimes these relationships become toxic by the petty grievances, and we indulge in chronic cruelty. This leads to habitual bullying of one family member or another family member. People often have bad family relationships. Our relationship and our growth via our relationships cannot be overestimated. It's the most, it's so funny to me because, seekers think that their spiritual progress is only dependent on the work that me, myself, and I do. And they totally forget that the blessing of being in relationship, in a marriage, children, whatever it may be, and how you are meant to evolve via these things and through these relationships. You're learning about yourself every day. So it improves the orientation towards this green chakra. The tremendous shift when the heart opens, that's when the biggest shift takes place. Suddenly that heart bursts open and there is love. Self-love, love for other. There are many ways that we can be less loving in our relationships, but remembering every situation is unique, our patterns remain fairly true, okay? Typical areas of dysfunction, what are they? You should know what your areas of dysfunction are. What issues do we deal with? Look at the patterns, your patterns in your relationship. What are you denying? What are you dealing with? What are you talking about? Why aren't you talking about certain things? Anger and resentment are often expressed in ways that are rarely shown. Okay, I wanted to talk a little bit about marriage while I'm here. All right, I'm just going to talk about some exercises for this third chakra. I cannot overemphasize how important this chakra is in your relationships. An exercise is to get to a feeling for the basic dynamic of your family. What feeling do you have towards your family? Spot the recurring patterns and any kind of toxic interaction. Find ways to change those patterns or change your reactions to these patterns as they unfold. It's arduous. This is what we have to do. Emotional distance frees up our energy. Sometimes we need to take a break, develop some emotional distance. We choose our environment and situation. in order to evolve. And it's intended to be the best situation for learning our incarnational lessons. You are not in the relationships you are in for no reason. Sometimes we change from one relationship to another relationship. It's usually because you've learned the incarnational lesson from the first. You've now moved to the next catalyst, the next part of your evolution, the next marriage it can be, the next whatever, the next relationship, or the next, you can move the relationship to your environment. Eventually we find and make peace and accept our birth families. It's very important, something I'm constantly working on, finding and making peace with our birth families. You have to get real with each other. Get real about your feelings, get real about your resentments, and get real about your issues. It's not easy, right? Your love means we want for another what they want for themselves, not what we want for them to be, to believe, or to say or do, to make us happy. That is not love, it's control. Our heart. We no need to cut anybody out of our hearts for having a different opinion. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. Inject love, peace, and our family, being who they are, celebrate ourselves by setting limits as needed in order not to become doormats. Whenever you've become a doormat for other people to take advantage of, even in your family and friendship situations, you're blocking the third ray. All right, kids are also a huge power-packed catalyst. Marriage, ask yourself, what is your motive for marrying? Most marriages today sadly dissolve. There's a lot at stake in a marriage. There's no longer a conventional pressure to stay together anymore. The third I'm just looking here. Yeah, there's so much attached. So I want you to think of the third chakra as your relationships. Any relationship that you have, but it's most importantly, it's the relationship with your family members, your children, and your spouse. And what are your patterns of behavior around these relationships? And how can you become more frank, more honest, and more real? How can you learn as well to deal with the other person and love them, even though you know that they are faulty human beings, without trying to control them? How can you support each other, love each other, and support each other in the best way? Remember, patterns of overreaction are things to look at. Patterns of avoidance. I find with spiritual people, the biggest pattern I notice is this pattern of avoidance. More just avoiding issues. More aggressive people in the world that aren't that spiritual tend not to avoid. They can just get aggressive and have a fight. Spiritual people are more prone to avoiding issues, not wanting to go there, keeping the peace, and then wondering why they are so lethargic, so exhausted, and don't feel that they are at all stimulated or enjoying life. Because when you are constantly trying to keep the peace for the sake of somebody else, you are totally, you have to work on that. And remember, you are going to be trying to support and honor one another. And as much as you are honoring other has to honor you too. Supporting yourself and supporting other people. I think that's a lot. Again, I can go on and on.
Yeah, you've covered a lot. I think you've covered some really great points. And
these are 3 chakras. If you do this work and little baby steps, little by little, you do your little root exercise in the morning. You work on your relationship to yourself. You get real with yourself. You learn to love yourself. And then it extends to these relationships that you have with your family, with your friends, with your children, with your spouse. You get more real. You have that honest conversation. Suddenly, you feel this opening, there's a freedom in that, and there's a joy. And then the most important is the heart.
Thanks,
okay.
Thanks, Zoran. Okay, so shall I talk about technique now?
Yes.
I'm thinking maybe after I do techniques for the third chakra, maybe we'll take a little break. Then we can work with the heart chakra and then finish with the rasa. Does that sound good to you?
I was thinking that we can talk about,
because we're gonna
maybe we should do another one on the throat chakra and
no, there's nothing to say on the throat chakra. Actually, I can just throw that in. That takes 2 minutes.
I've got a whole book on
you've got a whole thing on the throat chakra? Well,
I tell you what, if anybody wants information on the throat chakra, I can maybe write out a little something and send it to them. I'll tell you right now,
the throat chakra, the recommendation for throat chakra to open that up and empower it is just to sing out loud.
Well, it's honest communication.
Yeah.
The throat is the voice.
Yeah.
So if you're being honest with yourself, you're being honest with other, you're coming from the heart, what extends then all of a sudden? You find the words, the voice, the ability to tell the truth, be authentic,
and
express
saying,
yourself.
I love you in some form. In other words, not holding back that positive statement, but instead being very aware of, I will tell them they look good, or tell them they make me feel good, or tell them how wonderful they are or how great they're doing. Don't hold that back. And that, so that's coming from the heart. It's being expressed verbally through the throat. But singing out loud, like 5, 10, 15 minutes a day in the car, going to work or in the shower, singing any kind of song, that actually is my recommendation for opening the throat chakra. Okay, so let's go to the third chakra. So I want to kind of tie what we're talking about with chakras to the fundamental understanding of why are we talking about this in terms of enlightenment. So basically, one of the definitions of living as an enlightened person, awakened person at LOC 1000, person who is self-realized, is that you will be living spontaneously, being your true self, and experiencing unblocked feeling with your whole body. Okay, so this is the integrated daily living expression and enjoyment of self-realization or true self, being established in your true self. Okay, that's what this is about. We're talking about integration basically today, opening, clearing, integration. But the end result is not about chakra techniques or even chakra knowledge. It is that you are living spontaneously and you are being yourself, and you're not blocking feelings or controlling them. You are living with spontaneous, unblocked feeling, and you're enjoying it with the whole body. Like, for example, I don't know about, I think Ananda has a similar experience, but for me, anger is actually very enjoyable as a whole body experience.
I'm an 8, I'm always angry.
Yeah, she's always in that enjoyable state of being
always angry.
Yeah,
I wake up angry and I go to sleep angry.
So it took me a long time to actually get to the place to where I really could see how much fun anger is. But anyway, that's just an example. All right, so third chakra. I have slightly different take on third chakra from my own experience, but it's I don't think in the end that different. For me, the third chakra is the one where we are asserting ourselves, communicating ourselves with other people. So it actually makes a ton of sense, because the root chakra is for the body and survival.
Sexuality.
And sexuality. And then the second chakra is about
relationship with yourself,
loving yourself, feeling enjoyment with your body, but it's still not really about anybody else, unless we're talking about some kind of basically sexual merger or sensual merger of some kind. But it's still not the full-blown, hey, I'm so-and-so, and what's our relationship, and do you know. So it's not the social expression of self or of ego. Okay, so third chakra has got that domain, and most people on the planet are operating at that level, the lower three chakras, and in terms of people, third chakra. Now, third chakra is the expression of will. So basically, this statement that Ananda made about can you want for the other what they want for themselves may sound a little bit odd, but what that is a statement of I am going to tend to want to control you with my will and want you and try to make you do what I want you to do because you're making me feel bad doing something I don't want you to do or saying something I don't want you to say. So what do you do with that? Well, one way to work with that is to ask yourself, can I want for the other person what they want for themselves? And if you can say yes, honestly, then this will relax. The third chakra will relax and you will no longer be fighting them with your will. This is a wonderful relief. Okay, I consider the third chakra, somebody's asking, I would put it at the breadbasket area where just below the ribs, but some people feel a little lower or even in the navel, and that's okay. So it's wherever you feel it in basically the gut area. You could call it the gut chakra. Okay, so that's kind of the context. Now, here's what happens for super sensitive people, which will apply to some of you, but not all of you. If you're a deep empath or you're psychically or energetically sensitive, then what could have happened to you when you were younger was that you were overwhelmed and your third chakra shut down. What happens then, because it is part of this sympathy, feeling others, and this is where if somebody attacks you with their energy, they will attack you at your third chakra. It's the most sensitive chakra for that kind of experience of somebody being aggressive towards you or even some kind of quote unquote psychic attack.
I'll tell you a story with that third chakra. I never really experienced an issue with my third chakra ever. And I remember meeting somebody a couple of years ago and hearing some information. And for the first time, I felt like a punch, bam, in my stomach. I such an energetic punch. No one was there. No one punched me, and I said, oh my God, like what the hell? What was that? And then when I discussed it with the Ramaji, he said, to this day, I was, it's amazing how the chakras can tell you things and express themselves in your lives if you allow them to and you become aware of them. That's my point, I guess.
Yeah, well, it is that you got punched as a child by your parents.
Well, that wasn't them. It was somebody else punching me.
No, I know. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's the same kind of experience, so it wouldn't be very conscious. Mm-hmm. So if you're super sensitive, you can be overwhelmed and shut down. And then what happens is your third chakra reverses. And this doesn't apply to everybody here, but it will apply to, there's at least a few people here who are super sensitive, psychic, deeply empathic. And I'm saying, in case it's a challenge for you to assert yourself, to be competitive, to be aggressive, okay? Then maybe this applies to you. Or anyway, so I'll just continue with this. So when it reverses, you can even, it becomes inverted, you can even start taking negative energy in. So many people who are psychic or deeply empathic will have the experience, at least at some time in their life, where they're actually taking on negative stuff for others. Okay? It actually happens a lot. At least I've known lots of people who've had that experience, and I've done it myself. So what do you do about that? Well, it's the same thing that you would do just to have empowerment in this chakra. So the most important thing is, ask yourself, can I feel this area, the gut area, the solar plexus? Do I have feeling there? If you don't, then that means it's shut down. But either way, the solution is to understand that the natural state of the third chakra, being a yang or masculine chakra, is that it is always flowing power out. So flowing power out of the third chakra is not losing energy, it is its natural expression. And seen clairvoyantly, it looks like a little golden sun in the third chakra, and the light coming out of the third chakra looks like sunlight or a golden beam, okay? And people who are very powerful in the world have a very powerful, big third chakra with a big beam, okay? So it's actually very simple. You feel this area, the technique is very simple. You feel this area, you take a deep breath, and then you breathe out from that area, from the gut. If you want to know exactly where to breathe out from, you can say the sound ga. So if I go ga, 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 that is definitely a place you can breathe out from. That is that it contracts the solar plexus. That's the ga sound. Okay, now so I'll take a deep breath and then breathe out from that area as if my mouth or nose was located there. You can imagine that, but you really want to make an effort to feel that you're breathing out from there. So you do that for a few minutes, taking a deep breath and then breathing out. Even though obviously the breath is coming out of your mouth or nose, you imagine and feel it's coming out of my gut, out of my stomach, out of my solar plexus. Okay? And then at some point when you feel you have a power flow after doing this, perhaps a week or two, then you can put if you're right-handed, then your left hand would be more sensitive. You put your left hand in front of that energy that's coming out, and you will feel as you breathe out, and you can make a sound if you want to, like ah, or whatever sound you want to make if you like. But you can push that hand away, okay? And you will feel the power stream coming out. Excuse me. So sometimes even if we have a good, healthy, powerful third chakra, we have a shock in our lives. Something happens and we're just out of kilter, we're off, and we don't know how to get back to being balanced. Chances are what happened is your third chakra got a shock, it got temporarily out of balance, and all you have to do is do this exercise for a couple of minutes, take a deep breath, and then breathe out from the third chakra and just get that flow going again properly. Okay, so this is the basic exercise. It is that simple. You just have to do it. Now, my view on the third chakra is more about that it's essentially yes, it'd be very good for a type 2 person. Yes. Because a type 2 person is not admitting that they need to be this assertive or even aggressive. So yes, yeah, absolutely. But everybody tends to have this, except maybe 8s, and I don't know, 8s are naturally just very powerful. So we had the first chakra and the second chakra. So third chakra, we haven't gotten to the heart chakra yet, which is a different way of relating to other human beings and even yourself. So, but with the third chakra, since it's outward going, then it's how do I relate to others? The stereotypical form of the third chakra functioning in society with others is it tends to be about who's on top, who's on the bottom, top dog, bottom dog. So, there's a whole world. There's different ways of looking at it, but for example, there's a sexual practice called, dominant submission. But that's actually what the third chakra is all about. Is in relationships, like in marriage, like what Ananda was talking about with relationships or family. If you start looking for it, you'll start to see, relationships tend to easily fall into who's on top, who's on the bottom, who's dominant, who's submissive. That's third chakra.
Very much.
That's third chakra.
It's also masculine and feminine. Very immature males regard the woman as weaker, or, exactly. the way you perceive the feminine, the divine feminine is all to do with that third chakra, like the power,
So the answer to that tendency of the third chakra, in other words, that's kind of built in, is the fourth chakra. But you can't have a legitimate, powerful, open, truly loving, consistently loving heart chakra if you don't have a powerful, conscious third chakra where you can assert as needed, say no, as needed, say here's my boundary, and actually really feel your own power, feel your own sovereignty as a human being, feel your boundaries. That's all third chakra stuff. And to some extent, first and second. So I think we've kind of basically covered
I will say
this.
the last thing I want to mention about the third chakra is forgiveness. Forgiveness. Key for clearing our orange chakra. At times we have to even forgive our culture for being the way it is.
Yeah, let's answer this question. Should we share some of these exercises with children?
Absolutely, you can. Okay. We often don't want to forgive, so we remember this home truth. Lack of forgiveness always traps us. We have to try find a way to forgive others and forgive ourselves. We allow via forgiveness the flow of love to the heart chakra. And remember that when you are making love, a lot of the orange chakra has got to do with your sex life, making love. You are mingling your auras in very intimate ways.
Yeah, you're merging.
So you need to trust your partner and have respect and affection for them. Getting real, getting mature, understanding yourself, understanding your own needs, being able to express them, and understanding others. I feel in a way sorry sometimes for masculine energies because they've been raised to kind of having to perform, be a certain way, not being able to express themselves properly, or being honest about their energy or about what they really need or want. So it's very important for males to kind of let go of that program.
We need to.
Okay, so I think we can
Well, we got to answer two questions here. Oh. Okay, so what's the breath to bring up repressed anger? The answer would be you're tending to hold your breath. Don't hold your breath. Feel it. Feel your anger with your whole body. Now, obviously, we're not talking about expressing anger at someone. But you privately encourage yourself to breathe as deeply as possible. Feel this anger, give total permission to experience it. There is no breath. It's not like there's a breath to, for anger. It's just stop suppressing it, because if you stop suppressing it, stop controlling the breath and let it out, basically the ramping breath is the anger breath. So if I'm angry, it's like a bull, what? How could he say this to me? What an asshole. What am I doing? I'm building my energy so I can really get mad, right? Something like that. That's what this is. You got to ramp up. Otherwise, what? Oh, I'm really mad at you. I just can't stand what you're doing. It's just too much. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to hurt you now. No, not unless I'm crazy. I mean, come on. I have to sound mad, and that's based on the breath. The other question is, where should energy go to the third chakra going out through it, top down? No, way too complicated. No, it's exactly as simple as I said. You're thinking, stop thinking. This is all about feeling. It's
an emotional
I'm
landscape.
taking in the breath, the life, taking in life. I'm filled with life now. And now I'm going to breathe out from my third chakra, which is my power chakra. Okay. Okay. I'm going to come from my third chakra. Okay. I'm not coming from my heart chakra. Not coming from the second chakra. Not coming from the root chakra. I'm coming from third chakra power. Okay, and that is from that place. It's that simple. Okay, and we don't want to run over too much. So if somebody has a real question, just to say about any of no, there's no copy of Ananda's notes available that I know of. Christian,
I can make one.
Christian, or anybody else.
I can make a copy.
Oh, can you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's okay to ask questions about any of what we said today, but please.
We haven't got much time.
If it's going to be about a technique, please do the technique for like 2 weeks. And then after doing it, or a minimum of a week, then you can send an email. Please don't send theoretical emails. This is all practical. So try to do the technique. And after you've done the technique, if you're having questions, Then when you send an email, it will work. It'll be a useful email, okay? And then I will be happy to answer it, or Ananda, if it's for Ananda, she can answer. But let's keep this practical. Otherwise, we could go off into
I can talk
land.
about the chakras forever.
Yeah, okay. So, okay, whenever, thanks. All right. All right, so we're going to take a little break now, 5 minutes. Then we're going to come back and talk about the heart chakra. Then we're going to have the rasa. Okay, so thanks, everybody. Thanks for being such great listeners and great questions. Okay, 5-minute break. Okay, does anybody want to actually ask a question verbally? This would probably be a good time. Or if they have a point they want to make, you can unmute yourself. Otherwise, we will go on to the heart chakra. And there's just so much to cover today. So just do a technique or whatever information you got, and then after trying it out for real, then you can get back to either one of us. But we're covering the whole chakras in like one session. The 6th and 7th chakras open up automatically when you get RASA. In fact, all the chakras do, but the 6th and 7th, one reason we're not talking about it is that happens automatically. Also, the Kundalini rises automatically through the RASA process. So we're not talking about Kundalini really either, because there's no point, because if you're getting RASA, it's going to happen automatically. It may happen in the background, so you're not really aware of it that much, but it does happen, and we can guarantee that because we know, because we've done this hundreds of times with people, this journey, so we know it works. Okay, so let's talk about the heart chakra. Do you have anything that you want to say, Green
Yeah,
Ray?
I've got lots to
Okay,
say.
go
I
ahead.
mean, again, the heart chakra. Okay, so but we think about it in terms of you're working on yourself, particularly that 3rd chakra, which is like, think about it as the chakra that constantly has work, because we constantly have catalysts. So it's like dusting your house. You can dust your house and make it beautifully clean, but guess what? In a day or two's time, you're going to have to redust your house because there'll be some more dust to deal with. But as long as you're doing that, and then I would say that you ask yourself, when it comes to the heart chakra, what is my motivation? Whenever you try and shift your motivation from the self alone, completely the self alone, into how can I be of service to other? How can I make another self feel better? All that is coming from a place of love. So what you want to do is you want to love yourself with, in other words, I love myself with my anger. I love myself with my unworthiness or whatever it may be. And I can love another person with their faults too. And slowly but surely you cultivate this ability to remain open-hearted. It's about opening the heart chakra. And then you see life from that awareness, the awareness of, wow, there really is, everything really is this incredible green love. You see people differently. You see yourself differently. You're able to feel the love that you are and express the love that you are. More often than not, people not only don't they love themselves, they don't really love others. You can't love another unless you love yourself. So you'll be constantly working on those first 3, and then we're moving that into a place where I would say the heart chakra opens almost organically. When we talk about, Ramaji and I, helping you guys reach self-realization, it is more of a mind realization. I can't open your heart for you. I can't do this work for you, nor can Ramaji. We can give our students the tools and we tell them what we feel. We give them our opinions. We help them by listening to how they express themselves. But unless they're working on themselves and their relationships continuously, the organic ability for that heart chakra to burst open eventually will maybe take a little bit longer to happen. I always say that this is something that happens post self-realization. It's not something that happens when you become self-realized. The heart is something that it's almost like there is an integration process that takes years before that heart chakra.
I need to interrupt just in
opens.
case somebody's having trouble with sound or something else technical. If you can't figure it out, go out and come back in. And I'll let you back in, okay, just in case you can't hear us, because everybody else can hear us. Yeah.
Another way to understand this is polarizing toward the positive. Most of us are very quick to see the negative. Just as we all have polarizing issues within ourselves, negatives and positives, we tend to view ourselves more in terms of what's wrong with us versus what's right with us. We do that constantly when we're projecting what we see and feel about other people. So the more we try to polarize more to the positive, as in seeing the positive in people, recognizing their perfection, even though they flawed, the more your heart chakra begins to open. Whenever you, love reflects love. So whenever you are expressing love or sensing love from another, that's because it's being activated within you. You know, you can have those amazing conversations with people and walk away and say, wow, I felt so amazing after that conversation. I felt so seen. I felt so understood. I felt so heard. That's because it's activating your third chakra. That's why we always say, mix with
fourth chakra?
Your fourth chakra, mix with like-minded people. That fourth chakra will always be activated. Don't expect people to be perfect, because understand that everybody's in this position where they are polarizing towards the self alone or towards other. When you're completely self-centered and selfish, then it's all about me, how I feel. That heart chakra remains completely blocked. The minute you start to polarize towards being of service, helping and serving, understanding, listening, that heart chakra begins to open.
Receiving for the sake of sharing.
Mm-hmm. You learn that you're receiving all this abundant energy, all these amazing catalysts to help you evolve in this lifetime for the sake of sharing. It's the desire to activate that heart. It's the desire to receive for the sake of sharing. And that becomes organically understood as your process begins to expand post-awakening for many people. Less and less about the little me that needs to constantly feel good about little me, less about the first three and much more about that expression of how I can serve humanity, my partner. The joy becomes, wow, when I'm making him feel good, I feel good. My family members, my loved ones, and then it extends even post to your students, to the people that are in your life. And it's not something you have to force. It organically gets activated, you see, because you're doing the work on yourself. You're allowing that flow. When you block it, negative self-talk, always criticizing, finding what's wrong with the people in your life, not being authentic or honest or real, it blocks it. Think about it as a pipe. It gets blocked. You want to open that pipe? Think about love, authenticity, getting real, being honest, and honoring and respecting yourself enough to honor and respect another. People that are disrespectful don't respect themselves. What else? So go on. We're going to be quick with the heart chakra. Sorry. I get so excited about the heart because I know what's possible.
Yeah, is it okay if I?
Yes.
We want to keep this, it's going to be 2 hours and 15 minutes as it stands.
Yeah, okay, yeah, we want to finish.
Okay, so I'm going to do this in 5 minutes or less. Okay, so of course all of that's 100% wonderful and true. So I want to talk about the heart chakra, basically in terms of the back heart chakra breathing that we have been teaching. You can go on YouTube and just look up back heart chakra, Ramaji, Ananda, and that will take you to 1, maybe 2 videos where we teach the technique. So it's all there. So we're not going to take the time today to explain it. But if you have questions about it after watching the video or trying it, then you can send an email to me or Ananda. Okay, so I did want to talk about what is, since we don't go into it in the YouTube video, what is the bigger picture behind the technique? So basically, we've been talking about toxic shame today, and it applies especially to the second chakra and especially to the fourth. So this is stuff that develops in childhood. Sometimes it's called self-judgment, self-loathing, self-condemnation, but this will really interfere with our ability to enjoy love, to receive love, and to give love. So toxic shame basically takes the form of I'm not good enough or I don't deserve love. And there is healthy shame, but toxic shame is really saying you as an existential being, you're not okay, you're bad, you're wrong, you're not good enough. That's toxic shame because it's simply not true. As a spiritual being, you are a soul, you are a being of light, you are one with the divine. So there's nothing wrong with you. You're not bad, you're good. Okay, so there's that. Now, what happens in the basic model is we're going to breathe in through the back, fill up with the love or good feeling, and then breathe out. Well, what blocks back here is if you have shame, then through the back heart chakra breathing, it will help work through that shame. But also if you were going to a therapist to work through your shame, it would also help open up the back heart chakra. So most people are working in love, in terms of love in the front of the heart chakra. But our understanding, or at least what I have seen as a clairvoyant, is that there is a very refined prana or chi, life force energy, that comes in through the upper back, which is at the particular location of this back heart chakra is at the bottom of the shoulder blade. So it's still the upper back between the shoulder blades. So if you take a deep breath and you expand that area, kind of make the shoulder blades go wider like you have wings, and then you breathe in through there, you can feel that area a little more easily, okay? So we're breathing in and filling up, putting a smile on our face, and if we have a good memory, we can help kickstart it with some good memory of love or pleasure or joy. Fill up, spread it through the body, and then breathe it out. That's the basic technique. So understand that what we're really saying here is we're not creating the love. The love is in the air. The love is everything. The love is the prana that fills the world, that is sustaining this body. And so we're breathing it in through the heart chakra, and then there is some process, some machinery, something in the heart chakra that is able to transmute this refined prana, and it becomes the human experience of love. And eventually, as you keep working with this, the love will just flow as you breathe in and as you breathe out. You'll breathe love in and you'll breathe love out. That is what is happening anyway. Well, what we're doing with the back heart chakra is simply opening up to that natural process. So this whole idea of loving other people is really, and loving yourself, is really about allowing the cosmic, the universal love, which is unconditional, it's just what is sustaining our bodies and our lives all day long, every day. We're simply allowing that to flow into us, to receive it, and then we absorb what we need, and then we're allowing it to flow out of us to others. It's actually that simple. So instead of I'm going to try to create this love, no, receive the love. And where do we can feel it through the front, and that's fine. But many people need to understand that the back is the gateway for the love to come into the body. And actually all of the back chakras, second, third, fourth, they're actually breathing in. They're all taking in this energy. But they have different functions. With the heart chakra, the function is love. Okay, that's basically what I wanted to say. So if you have more questions about the technique, you can look up the video on YouTube.
We can assure you that if you work on your chakras, your first three particularly, and your awakening, eventually that heart chakra opens. That's just what happens.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot more we could get into about that, but because based on stuff I've observed where people, block or cover the root chakra, but I have found, without exception, that if you get the flow coming in through the back, any of the defenses or closed offness that a person has in the heart chakra is directed outward. So they're trying to protect themselves against something that came in, like with some people, were told critical words, judgmental words when they were a child. So they put up a barrier so they don't hear bad words anymore. But it's not defended from the inside. It's only defended from the outside. So if you breathe this love in through the back, guess what? It dissolves any and all obstacles in the front. So we don't even have to talk about that, see, because it works. Okay, so that's it, because we don't want to run over too much. So I don't see any questions. So shall we go ahead then with the rasa?
Do they feel ready for the rasa now?
Everybody ready for the rasa? Yeah.
Beautiful.
Okay. So this has been a buffet. I hope that's how we feel.
There's so much information. It's hard to decide what to.
Yeah, it's a great subject.
Yeah, you can go on all day with this, all week.
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, you guys have been great listeners, great questions. Let's see, we do have one in the chat here. Oh, you really liked it. Okay.
Thanks, Vic.
Thanks, Victor. Thanks. Okay, so now what we're going to do, thanks you, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Okay, what we're going to do now is the rasa. So it's, you're going to do 10 minutes this time? Okay, 10 minutes. So if you don't have your video on, please turn your video on so that we can see you to give you the rasa. If anybody here is a rasa giver, you can join us if you want. And then for those of you who came late, this is recorded, and within 7 days from now, we will send you a link to the recording, everybody that paid for the satsang, even if you weren't here. Thank you. That was our goal, to make it really helpful and practical. Thank you very much. That's our goal. And we do believe we accomplished it more or less.
Well, I would like to talk about the other chakras another time.
Maybe another time. Yeah, well, this is getting pretty long. Okay. So here we go with the rasa. So 10 minutes. So just sit back and relax.
Close your eyes, relax. Imagine you're lying on a beautiful beach and receiving love through the crown chakra. Okay?
Just receive.
Receive.
Don't do anything special. Just like you're
and
getting.
Anybody, I think Prem Devi's here. She may want to give the rasa with us. Beautiful. If there are any other rasa givers, I'm not sure. Prem Devi is a rasa giver. Beautiful. Okay. Let's go.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for being here. Okay, here we go with the rasa. 10 minutes. Here we go. Okay, that's the rasa.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We've loved spending this morning or mid-morning stroke afternoon with you all,
Or evening.
and hope to see you again. Remember, book your sessions if you so desire, and we'll be hosting our next satsang either the end of next month or the end of the following month, depending.
It won't be the end of next. It'll be 2 months from now, probably.
Probably 2 months from now.
Yeah. Oh, you're welcome.
And if you can think of any other topics you'd like us to talk about, don't hesitate to email us.
Yeah, send us an email.
Okay, we love you all. God bless.
Yeah, God bless you.